questions. I think we've raised our 3 objections. I think we've given you the evidence that we said we would have. We are perfectly willing, I think Colin would be willing to answer any questions that you have, and we would open the door for any cross-examination that Mr. Ratchell will have.
Before we get to cross, just one question. You said you talked about an existing use. How long is that you've had that existing use there?
My first station was licensed in March of this year, February or March of this year, and then the latest one, my most recent upgrade of license was maybe 3 weeks ago.
So your testimony was that you've been transmitting from that site since March?
No, because I haven't owned that site since March. I've been transmitting from that site only since I got my license.
All right, so that's my question. How long have you been operating on that site?
3 weeks. We purchased the home in the middle of June.
Okay.
But just for clarification, you're transmitting there because you work from your home and your home. Sorry. But just for
Yeah.
No, she's yelling at me, not you. She's holding her sign.
I think we need to hire him to get a good speaker system here.
Can we talk
Please,
to you about
Mr.
that
Collins.
after our-
Sure.
I'm not going to say I told you so when I told you so. Not these things. Just for clarification, though, the reason that it's only been 3 weeks is because you just recently purchased the home.
That's right.
If you've lived in the home since you started March, it would have been longer.
Yeah, so I've been doing, there's a distinction to make here. My existing use is not just on the transmitting side, and this isn't going to disrupt just the transmitting, so it's also going to disrupt the receiving. And so Supervisor Cassiola, when you talk about how long have I been licensed to transmit, that's not how long I've been doing radio frequency research.
I know that was my question.
Okay.
I mean, we're on this side here for the application.
No,
At what point did you sign the contract to purchase the home? There you go. We're on the same page then.
I can give you an exact date. I don't want to.
Approximately.
Okay, approximately. It would be approximately 60 days before we close. So
at some point in March.
I think it would be April. Audrey, do you remember?
I know, really, sometime in March.
Yeah, April. Yeah, I think it would be in April.
That's when you signed the agreement, so.
He said he'll supply that information on what you.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could supply that.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been doing spectrum analysis, which I've only since, and I can get you this exact date because of the first FCC station. We submitted that paperwork probably at the end of last year. It's with a partner and I, and the latest one has only been 3 weeks, but that's only transmittal on those frequencies. So I've been receiving on those frequencies. I mean, I've been doing this kind of work. I started my company 4 years ago, so since that time I've been doing this kind of spectrum analysis work for my own account.
Anybody else have any questions before you go on?
I do not have a tower on my property.
How do you broadcast?
I have an antenna.
Communication antenna on the property?
Yes.
Did you get conditional use approval?
I didn't get conditional use approval for an antenna. Can you point me to the part you're talking about? I read it pretty carefully, and I didn't see where either an indoor or outdoor fixed antenna would require conditional
I'm
use.
just curious, maybe you can explain exactly what structure you have.
Yeah, I have a movable antenna, so it's a broadband antenna that's it's about as big as this, and it gets mounted. It's indoors right now, so it's in my basement, and I can, because I'm doing mostly high frequency, that goes right through walls, so you can actually do it indoors, but I've taken it outdoors as well. I haven't erected a tower.
Is it a structure on your property?
No, it looks like a TV antenna. So it's similar to a TV antenna, only it's a piece of scientific equipment. So it has, it can detect much finer range signals than a TV antenna, but it looks similar to a TV antenna.
All right, nobody can hear that, Cindy.
I said, I don't believe you'd need it for something indoors.
I read the ordinances pretty carefully because I wanted to do this, and like I didn't see anything about it. There's specific calls
That's not
for it.
the point of this hearing tonight. It's related to their application. It's
Okay,
not-
sure.
If you need an application, you'll find you'll know soon enough.
Yes.
Go ahead, you plan
I just have one or two questions for quality. That's all.
Good luck with the mic.
Thank you. Colin, you testified that you're sending signals right now, and obviously there's a tower in your proximity, and it's sending signals right now. Have your signals been affected by the tower? Your present signals?
The reception of my signals.
Yes.
I've been able to transmit and receive. Okay.
So you have not noticed any ill effect?
I have not.
Okay.
But I'll add one comment. The way signal propagation through a medium like air works is that it goes down with the square root of distance. So as you get further away from the tower, and I think the existing tower is about 1,200 or 1,250 feet. I'm sure your engineer would be able to tell us, but the existing tower is somewhere around 1,250 feet from my house, and so it's a fairly long distance away, whereas the new tower would be about 250 feet from my house.
Yeah, I think
It's
that,
a little much stronger signal.
what is that distance?
The new tower is going to be about 400 feet from your house.
How about the present tower?
Can you show us that measurement?
And I can show it to you on the overall 1,000-foot map that we had presented at the last meeting.
Can you state your name again?
Lisa Ryder with Dewberry Engineers. This being 209. This being the 209 that we had talked about earlier. So, you know, relatively about 350, 400 feet. Based on the aerial view, of course, I don't have a map of where your house is, we don't survey where your house is.
Yeah. And so how much, in terms of percentages, what percent closer to my house do you think the tower is going to get from the existing location?
We're about 50% closer.
Can you please speak up?
We are about 50% closer, we're proposing to be 50% closer.
The second question was, did you know the distance of the current tower to his home?
Off the top of my head, no, but guesstimating, I would say, let's see, probably about 800 feet.
Actually, I think go ahead, if I can find the measurement now. But go ahead.
And of course, keep in mind, we located the existing tower, we didn't locate this house. We don't cross property lines, we locate property corners. However, based on the aerial map that I had given you guys before, we're talking about 2, 4, 6, about 800 feet from the existing tower to Mr. Otis's house.
But you said you had some more questions, Mr. Ratcher.
I just have one or two more for him once he's,
I'm ready.
go ahead.
I'm ready.
Shoot. Oh, you're ready for the question? I thought you were going to give us the distance.
No, I'm not able to look at those.
Okay. So you indicated that you're, I think you used the word, and I may have not heard it correctly, you're navigating?
It's radio navigation, that's
Okay,
correct.
so who are you navigating for?
I'm navigating for myself, I'm a pilot.
You're navigating for yourself as a pilot in your house.
No, that's not correct. So when I started my company, we were working with the indoor navigation, and when I got interested in indoor navigation, I then started to read about long distance navigation. There's a system called LORAN, which is LORAN, which is a long range radio navigation system. And so I became interested. There's a company. So there's a lot of development in this area in terms of how to do more effective radio navigation, both for aircraft and for land vehicles. And as autonomous vehicles come on the market, there's going to be a need for really high accuracy location services. And so,
Can you please speak up?
sure, there's going to be a need because of autonomous vehicles. So in Pittsburgh, there's a company called Uber they're developing an autonomous vehicle. They have it. You can read about it in the news. And so for autonomous vehicles, mapping is very, very important. So for the vehicle to know where it is in space and where it sits with respect to the geographic map is really important. If you're off by even centimeters, you could be running into a guardrail or a car beside you or something like that. And so when I started, and this is a lot of background, but when I started my company, I got really interested in basically what the future of this looks like. And I became a pilot shortly thereafter, and pilots use a number of different navigation techniques. GPS has become popular, but basically when you first learn to navigate, and you always fall back to what's called VOR navigation, which is using an omnidirectional radio. I explained it earlier. It's basically a rotating antenna. And lower-end systems use a somewhat different approach. It's almost like on the Earth GPS. And so,
you're probably getting over our heads anyway. You're certainly getting over mine, but I guess, so really, I think what you're trying to tell me is you're doing this as part of your work, your research, whatever.
Correct.
You're not necessarily navigating for anybody. You're developing through the use of this technology.
Correct.
A possible future technology.
Yeah, but the research is on myself, so I'm using it for my own grade. I'm doing all the testing myself.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. And just my last question. Mr. Stone characterized what you're doing as a business venture. Do you agree with that?
At this point, I have a holding company, but it's not my, it's the future for me. So someday it will turn into a business venture. I'm not sure if it would be carried. We don't, there's no services being provided. We don't charge any money. There's no profit, none of those kinds of things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alan, any
But in
other
the
questions?
future, my expectation is that will change.
Thanks. I would like to just take a minute and speak to a couple of the other points that have been made here.